Hey there, this is Pam Perry's Picks. We got something new today. Collaboration creates currency with Rob YB Youngblood right after this.
Hey yo, kick back, relax, let's dive in the page. Pam Perry picks got the books for your brain. From fiction and non-fiction, all genres insane. We coming through showing love to the lit game. Greatest stories ever told, gotta find your pick. Imagination running wild, ain't nothing slick. Get lost in the pages, let your mind drift. Pam Perry picks got your brain in bookshelf vibe, turning the pages with pride. Pam Perry picks got the words by your side. Bookshelf vibe, turning pages with pride. Pam Perry picks got the words by your side. From the classics to you, we got the books for you. Get your mind right, let the knowledge accrue. Bookshelf vibe, expanding horizons wide. Pam Perry kicks keeping readers satisfied. Books up high, knowledge we can't deny. Get your reading on, just book one fly. Click cover image.
Hey there, that last one was Jamel Hill. So today is Detroit 313 Day. So shout out to Detroit because it is March 13th, 313, Detroit 313 Day. Want to give a shout out to that. That last book was Detroit author Jamel Hill. You all know her, NABJ Hall of Fame winner. But today we're talking about collaboration creates currency. That's what we're talking about today. So we're here with the author, as we always are, and we're talking about digging into this book about the movement. And with that, I'm going to bring up YB. Hey there. Hey, sir. How are you?
I'm blessed by the best, Pam. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I also want to say that you are part of the Speak Sell Shine cohort, the very first one that we had at the press club in DC, part of Ready, Set, Go Speak. You're part of that, and you are shining in your own community. He's known as the Linksmith Locksmith. LinkedIn Locksmith. Say that fast 3 times. LinkedIn
Yeah,
Locksmith.
yeah.
And so, because one of the things is that he really teaches people how to level up their brand and visibility on LinkedIn. But this book here was in the making for a while. So, kind of give us a little bit about how the book came about, and then we'll go into your backstory and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the first thing is just understanding that we're all one connection away. I was able to get involved into a community. And speaking of 313 Day, I was in Eric Thomas's community, ET, the hip hop preacher.
Detroit, there you go.
He
He's
puts
in the house
Detroit on his
too.
back. Yeah, he
Yeah.
puts Detroit on his back. I was able to join his community back in 2016, and was built several relationships that led to the formation of this book. But E.T. was the inspiration behind it. He always taught us that the two things that helped him to become the person that he is today was his relationship with the Creator, with
Mhm.
God, and one, and then the second is collaboration. He's never done anything by himself. So I was always inspired by that message, but it wasn't until I began working for a publishing company. I was the president of sales for a publishing company, and I had the opportunity to develop my second book, which is Collaboration Creates Currency. And as I was interviewing aspiring authors, I offered them an opportunity to be a part of this book. And Marshall Fox, Deborah Delgado, Sherrod Ledet, and S. Elliott Brooks III, they took me up on that offer, provided some valuable content. And now we have the book, Collaboration Creates Currency, the blueprint for visibility, credibility, and profitability.
And so I'll just show the back cover here of the collaborators for the book as well. You talked about Marshall Fox there as well,
Mhm.
that we met actually around the same time. We met through Brian Oles talking
Yep.
about collaboration. He is the founder of Black Speakers Network. So I think
Mhm.
we met at the Power Networking Conference. So it
We
was
did.
Marshall Fox, it was you, and then Brian brought him over. And then we ended up doing a book together,
Yes.
talking about books. It's also on Amazon. Speak, but
Yes.
we were in this one together as well. And Marshall
Mhm.
did the cover, so that's why I kind of
Yeah.
brought that up as well.
Yeah.
And then you have the other authors that are part of this as well. But
Yes.
so the book came about because you were part of this. You got the idea from God, basically. It's like a God idea,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you were inspired by YB,
Mhm.
YB,
By
ET.
ET. Yeah, by ET. Yep.
ETYB, I'm getting all these things confused.
Yeah.
And so from there, it really talked about a movement. So
Right.
you know that we're one relationship away, one
Mhm.
LinkedIn connection away from really to our
Mhm.
next level.
Right.
How do you protect your energy with people that don't have maybe the same intentions as we do?
Yeah, I have one of my gifts is I'm very intuitive and I have great level of discernment and I understand how to ask questions that allow for people to reveal their true
Mhm.
self and their true intentions. And so, obviously, my walk with God also helps me to be able to detect the BS. Right, sometimes you got to have a BS meter, but also looking at how people move with other folks. Right, so the
Yeah.
power of being in a network is that if somebody approaches me about an opportunity, if I don't know them, I'm going to connect with someone who does know them
Mhm.
or vet the people that they say that they're connected to just to see if those are real connections. And I think it's important that we do that. So that's one of the ways that it prevents me from getting my energy drained. But the second way is really to listen to what it is that they're looking for. If a person approaches me and they constantly use the word I, then it lets me know that the focus is on them. It's not on us. And
Mhm.
people act a certain way, and you have to really look at how they move and how they talk and who they're connected to determine how they may interact with you.
Mhm. That is so true. The questions that you ask and how it is that, because I'm a gifted in perceiver gift. There's like the
Right,
spiritual gifts or whatever. So perception is one, perceiver is one, and I
right,
can kind of tell, like you said, the BS meter from a mile away. And being a
right.
publicist, obviously, you gotta have to know people anyway.
Yeah,
So because you're dealing with the public, and so I find sometimes when you say collaboration creates currency, it's really about the we, and
mhm,
really that everybody has a win-win-win. And we kinda
right,
learned that from Uncle George that really talks about partnerships and things like that. So
right,
the book, you give your story, your
mhm,
backstory a little bit about how you got started in this
mhm,
work.
right,
You wanna start with, like, not with YT story, but, like, really when from the time where you left the nonprofit and then
right.
how you kinda really realized the collaboration creates currency. I will say one thing that I ended up wanting to match with the book, and be
So I noticed that. I was about to say, I was like, are you an alpha angel? I thought you're gonna be one of my
I feel
alpha
like
angels.
I am because there's so many of my brother friends that are, so and cousins
Yeah,
and relatives and things like that, and obviously
yeah.
MLK was too. But that's the color. I want to let people know that you are
I
MLK.
appreciate that.
Those are those are
That
your
makes me
colors.
feel that makes you feel so special. Thank you.
Yeah, so that black and gold is one of the things. So that's kind
Yeah.
of like, I guess, in a way, collaboratives for Black people, especially fraternities and
Right.
sororities, were
Right.
those sacred places where we go and we have the collaboration of like minds. And
Right.
there's other, obviously, there's NAACP, there's movements, there's
Hmm.
NAAC movement, SCLC, Urban League, they're movements, and I
Right.
kind of feel sometimes these movements start within the church because they're spiritual in nature, but
Right.
give us a background, I guess you would say, of your chapter of the book, and then
Yes.
how it grew into the movement that it is now.
So yeah, you talked about the transition from the nonprofit. So I was actually laid off in 2012 from a nonprofit organization here in Richmond, and that was a traumatic experience for me, Pam, because I'd never been laid off before. I left some jobs, but they never told me you got to go.
Mm,
And in this situation, it had nothing to do with me or my performance. The organization just didn't have the funding for
right.
one of the roles that I played, and then I served a dual role for another part of the work that I did. So they didn't really need me in that particular space. And so they gave us 30 days. And this was in July of 2012. They gave us a letter and they said August 2012 is your last day, August 15th. And when I transitioned, it was painful. I felt like a part of me had died. But it
Mhm,
was the greatest thing that could have happened to me because it actually opened up the door for my next level in my life. I was blessed with the name YB Connects, which allows me to be me. Like in the midst of me doing my business, I'm walking in purpose. So YB is who I am, Connects is what I do. And so every time I was able to build my business, I was able to operate in purpose. And then that's when I began to leverage LinkedIn for myself as an income generation tool, as a revenue generation tool. First, starting with job seekers and then transitioning to work with more revenue generators. And now I'm in a place where I'm merging those two worlds together because I see the
mm,
value of the collaboration creates currency movement not only impacting those who are looking to generate income, but those who are looking at making a difference and a change in their lives. And sometimes it could be them wanting to transition in their career. But collaboration works on both levels. It's not just a business principle for those who want to make money. It's a community building principle. And then also
Yeah.
when it comes to currency, the first thing most people think about when they hear the word currency is money, but that's actually the low hanging fruit, right? So when I think about currency, I'm thinking about relationships, ideas, information, spirit, trust, things that take time to build and cultivate, but can be lost in an instant. And
Mhm.
collaboration can help you or it can hurt you if you don't manage yourself accordingly. And so in my book, I talk about how the money is in the follow up, which is an important principle, right? The money, and as a publicist, you got to
Mhm.
continuously follow up with people, follow up. And I think the challenge for a lot of folks is one, if they get told no, they quit, or if someone challenges them, they shy away. And so in the book, I had a conversation with ET's right hand man. His name is CJ Quinney. And
Mhm.
our first conversation, I was so hyped because I had received what I thought was a word from God, right? I felt like the Holy Spirit, not felt like, I knew the Holy Spirit told me, bring ET to Richmond, right? And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
one connection led to another connection, led to another connection, which led me to CJ Quinney, who's ET's right hand man. And so I'm hype on the phone. I'm going in, telling them all the stuff that I'm striving to do. And CJ says, man, you sound like a real sharp guy. Like you got a lot of great things going on. But 98% of people never follow up. Don't be a part of the 98%. He hangs up the phone.
Wow. 98%. Okay.
98% of people never follow up, right? Now, obviously the numbers vary, but this is what he told me. And so I'm not gonna lie, I'm from New York. Yeah, I know you're from the D. I'm from New York. I didn't really take too kindly to that experience. Right? I was matter of fact, I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see you, my friend. But that was the energy that I needed to work my way through my challenge at that time to travel from Richmond, Virginia to
Mhm.
St. Louis, Missouri to experience Eric Thomas in person. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, I said to myself, and this is another collaboration, I said, well, I have a desire to be president of Virginia Union, so I need to get started at fundraising right away. And I reached out to two gentlemen in my network and I asked them a very powerful question. I said, would you be open to investing in my professional development? And the
Mm.
rest was over. They invested in my professional development. I was able to take this trip, and my life has changed for the better ever since.
There's a couple of lessons in there. One, anger is something that can motivate you to action.
Yeah,
Okay, because it's an emotion, so it moves you, the
yeah,
emotion. The
yeah.
other thing is that you have to ask in order to get,
That's right.
and it wasn't convenient. So
Mhm.
sometimes you have to move well, I won't say sometimes, all the time,
All the
we have to
time.
move out of our comfort zone in order to do
Absolutely.
something, to go from Virginia, to ask someone for some money, to meet
Yeah,
someone who had told you that you probably won't follow up, to
that's
go
right.
all the way to St. Louis. So it's not
That's
like you
right.
were going from Richmond to New York. I mean, there's nothing
No,
else there but St. Louis and
that's right.
probably and so those are some of the lessons that I heard from that because we do have to ask, but you ask with a humility. A
Yeah.
lot of times people are stuck because they say, I won't ask. But
Hmm.
if your intention and your heart is pure, it's fine to ask because
That's right.
a lot of people do want to help other people
That's right.
because they can see your bigger vision for that.
That's
And I'm
right.
just gonna say this real quick. So CJ, ET, YB, I can't do my initials like that, you know.
PP. Now PP.
We can't do that. We not gonna do that.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
So you all
I
got
want to. I
you
want
all
to
got
add
2 letters.
that. I want to add that you're right about the humility, but one of the things I want people to understand is that the answer is always no if you don't ask. Right. So most
That
people are afraid to ask because they don't want to be told no. But just understand that the answer is already no if you don't ask. So you get a 100% no when you don't ask. You get a 50-50 chance of getting a yes if you do ask. So your chances improve if you just reach out and ask, and they improve even better if you have a relationship and the ask is tied to a benefit of that individual. So if I were to talk to you, Pam, about something that I know is of value to you, and I keep the focus on what you can get, my chances of getting a yes, if the timing is right, goes up because you see the value in it for you by helping me.
Mhm,
And that's
mhm.
the importance of this whole collaboration creates currency movement.
I love that. And that is really, really key because George Fraser, who is Uncle George,
Yeah.
he wrote the book Success Runs in Our Race.
Yes.
He does say that the value of really helping others is really important. So when
Mhm.
you're wanting to network, you network continually, but you the best time to network is when you don't need something.
That's exactly right.
Because there's nothing worse than when you haven't heard from someone in a long
Hmm.
time and you're so
Hmm.
excited to hear from them,
Hmm.
and then there's an ask,
Yeah.
and it's like, "Okay."
Hmm.
And I'll give you a good example that is kinda like them putting my husband out there, but
Yeah.
I had told him to get in touch with an executive at Ford Motor Company who has since
Mhm.
retired. He just
Right.
came up on my mind, and so, when we're intuitive like that, it just
Right.
happens. It's, "You need to call such and such." And so
Hmm.
he looked on LinkedIn or Facebook, I can't remember, I think it was
Right.
probably Facebook, and he was gonna reach out to him, and he realized that today was his birthday.
Oh
I
wow.
said, "Okay." I said, "Wish him a happy birthday?" He said, "Yes, I did." He says, "And I don't think I should probably, like, go into the business part right now about what I said, "Yeah, let him enjoy his birthday. Just
Right.
let him
Right.
know on his radar, 'Hey, how you
Right.
doing, Mister,'
Right.
whatever, whatever, enjoying retirement." And then maybe next week and say, "Hey, you had a birthday. How was it? Let's get
Hmm.
together for coffee so we can see how we
Hmm.
can work together." Because on your birthday is not the time to
Hmm.
obviously talk to someone about some
Hmm.
business that they don't
No.
want. So you have to gauge, I call it emotional intelligence, I guess, in
Yes.
a way. That's kinda like what Rodney C. Burris talks about, our friend, emotional.
Yes.
You have to know how to approach people. I, called
Yes.
someone today who had been on my email list for a while and,
Hmm.
was really just checking to see if she knew, a particular, offer that I had going on for
Right.
April. And I said, "Hey, how are you?" And she says, "I'm under the weather." So, then right then I knew it's probably not a good
Yeah. It's
time
not a
to
good time. Yeah.
not a good time,
Yeah.
so I was like, "Feel better, whatever." Because when someone tells you they're under the weather,
Yes.
they're probably
Yes.
really under the weather,
Under
so
the
I was like,
weather.
"Okay,"
Yeah. Yeah.
so but if you do want to get a no, run past what they said and just go
Oh
and
yeah.
ask.
Yeah. Just
Whatever
ignore
they
the context. Ignore the context clues. They just kind of
say.
told you what it is, and you just, well, okay. I'm glad you're doing okay. Do you want to buy this? Okay,
Yes,
hang
yes.
up.
So like you said, context clues, those are
Yes.
some of the things. And
Yes.
so Imma ask this question 'cause, your chapter 5, money is in the follow-up, and so one of
Yeah.
the things that you talk about here is about,
Mhm.
collaboration at work and really you talk a little bit about finding a mentor to guide you through a
Yes.
challenge.
Hmm.
I have had a lot of mentors, and they were roughly people at least I would say 10 to 12 years older than me. They were in the work world and they were ahead of me. So we're still in touch with each other today. I mean, at
Right.
this point they are since retired and someone in their 80s or close to it and they still have that wisdom, it's that prime wisdom. So the thing I want to say is that when we do have a network and we build a network over time, when
Hmm.
someone leaves a position, say they were a big wig at whatever company, Ford
Right.
Motor Company or whatever, don't
Hmm.
think because they left the position they're not valuable.
That's right.
That is
That's right.
so important, and I find a lot of people who are hurt personally, it's like, "I was at such and such, and I was head of this, and then I get fired or let go, and then my phone stops ringing."
Right.
And that is like I mean, everybody has, like, relationships that are transactional, but don't
Hmm.
be that person that looks only transactional.
That's right.
Really care about people. And
Right.
so it really is a spiritual thing because what you sow comes back to you. So if you're
Mhm.
working somewhere and you're getting all these phone calls and then you leave and no one calls you, it's because that same thing happened to you.
Right, right, right. And it's and that's an asset to be able to maintain relationships, whether
Yeah.
you're with an organization or not. I tell people, especially those who have been let go from their career, take these three assets with you. Number one, the relationships you build. That's an asset, right? Because you never know how those people will help you and how you can help those people. Number
Yeah.
two is your professional development, what you've learned as a professional. Those things can be transferred to another opportunity or to your own opportunity, right? You can create your own business, leveraging the experience that you've developed as a professional in your industry. And then the third is the personal growth that you've experienced. Prayerfully, that when you started a role somewhere, the person that you were when you first got started, you wasn't that same person when you transitioned, unless you just need some serious attitude adjustment. Like if you got fired because you just mean, hopefully you get the hint, like, okay, I may need to tone it down a little bit. So those are three assets that, along with your rubber tree plant or whatever else, your pictures of your family that you got to put in your box, put those three assets in there and use that for your next opportunity. Because even though you get let go, doesn't mean those experiences, those lessons, and those relationships go away either.
That's true. They are always there. The relationships are there. That's why it's really more important. Most people, when they leave a position, they're leaving sometimes not for because they didn't like the job. It was the people. It was the
Right,
relationships they were having with the people because they're trying to find another place to land where the relationships are more nurturing. And
right.
that's really like the main thing. So what is next on the horizon for collaboration creates currency? What do you envision in the future, say 5 years from now?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually it's beginning. So this year, the goal is to impact 100,000 lives through the movement. We're doing that through speaking, coaching, consulting. I just launched a community called the LinkedIn Locksmith Mentorship Community, because I
Oh,
recognize that there are people that may not be ready for my premier packages, right? So in the
mm,
past, I was just like, no, I'm only working with people at this level, right? But then when I developed the Collaboration Creates Currency movement, which the vision is to break the cycle of poverty and build wealth in individuals one connection at a time. Well, if people are struggling financially, I'm not going to turn my back on them because they can't come in at my top one-on-one coaching package, right? I'm going to create another space where I can
mhm.
still add value. I just may not be as accessible, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
So I'll create opportunities to be accessible. I just won't be as accessible as I would be if it were a one-on-one client. So I could still create value and create community, which is
Mm,
another way to push the collaboration creates currency movement, because now it doesn't have to just be me. There's other people in the community similar to your community where, or they might find somebody that adds way more value than I could have, but they would have never connected with
yeah.
that person had I not created the community. So the LinkedIn Locksmith mentorship community has already launched, and that allows me to add value, and put myself in a position where not only are we creating a virtual community, but we'll be able to have an offline community, because there are going to be people that are coming into the community from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. So when I go and travel to speak, whether it's to a chamber of commerce or a Rotary Club or an alumni association, college, university, then I can say, "Hey, I'm coming to Detroit." Right?
Mhm.
Pam Perry has invited me to come up and speak. I'd love to meet all the Detroit people that's in the
313.
community. Come up 313, come up to 313, right? Or go to the local chamber and speak. So that's what the vision is to be able to create this community. And I know the power of community, right? It was in Breathe University that I found Marshall Fox, right? It was in Breathe University that I found Darren Palmer, who was the owner of the publishing company
All
that
right,
that
all
that
right.
that launched the book, right? So if it weren't for community, I would not have. I would know a Marshall Fox. We weren't running in similar circles, but it
Mhm.
was the community that was able to bring us together, and I see the value of that, and I want to be able to duplicate that within what I'm doing, and just use my gift, right? So I know I'm pretty good when it comes to LinkedIn, right? But at the end of the day, I
And
also want to
connecting and
attract.
connecting the right people to each other as
Absolutely,
well. Mhm.
absolutely. I just had a situation where a young lady reached out to me on LinkedIn, and she says, I have a client who is in transition, and she needs a LinkedIn profile makeover, and she needs her resume done. And she says, what's your price? I told her my price, and then she told me, she said, well, my client can only do this. I said,
Mhm.
okay, well, but I considered who made the ask,
Right.
right? And it just so happens to be someone that's in our community, right? So I said, you
Mhm.
know what? I'll look out for you. But now I can create another service that adds value to people like that, because I wasn't targeting folks that she was referring. So now this
Yeah.
first time I'll do that and we'll see how it works. But here's what I'm going to do. It's going to be an exclusive package only to members of the community, because I'm not putting that
Love
out
that.
there for public. You got to be a member of the community in order to benefit from that service.
And I want people to understand there is power in community. I mean, you hear that a lot now about finding your tribe or being with your people or the community. And it's really people that have your back. I mean, social media started out as social networking,
Yes.
and it was a
Yes.
way to network with people that you couldn't really get to on the phone or see in person. And then
Right.
it became social media and became marketing
Yeah.
and now the whole kind of thing. But then it it started like being less authentic or
Yes.
less, people really can't. It's like it became like one way. And it
Hmm.
really social networking was supposed to be two ways. So
Two
really
ways.
having the community meeting each other in social media, but really bonding, I guess you would say, in the community is the most
Hmm.
important thing.
Right.
And knowing what the other person's strengths are, what they may need, what you can offer, who you can recommend or refer.
Hmm.
That's why
Hmm.
having clarity is so important
Hmm.
in whatever you're doing so that you're not all over the place and people can refer and recommend you. One of the main things in Ready Set Go Speak is that the first pillar is really about getting your brand
Hmm.
clarity so that
Hmm.
people can recommend and refer you or nominate you. Those are some things. I put something in there today about nominations. It was like, okay, I know this might be good for such and such because I
Right.
know their background is that. Or speaking gigs. If I recommend speaking gigs in the community, it's because I may tag someone because I know them.
That's
And
right.
that's part of it. I mean, you could put it on Facebook and it just goes whatever, but you have to know people in order to help them. You have to know them in order to help them.
That's
So
right.
that's really important. So I like the fact that 100,000 lives are going to be impacted by this, the blueprint of visibility, credibility, and profitability.
Hmm.
I want people to get the book. They can get it right there on Amazon Live in real time.
Hmm.
It's kinda like the way where I call it the QVC of books, right? So it's like,
Yep.
"Okay, this book right
Yep.
here," so you get it. And you
Yep.
can also go to collaborationcreatescurrency.com to find out more about YB and all the things that he offers or even
Yes.
to, um, see where he is in terms of where he's speaking. He could be speaking in a city near you. So you
Absolutely.
wanna do that as well, or even, you can actually get the book signed. So that's some of the things as well, but I do wanna thank you for coming on, being part of the community, being part of
Thank you.
Speak Social. It's it's a joy when you're around people that give good energy, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That they have
Yeah.
good energy, and so if you're gonna collaborate, before you collaborate with other people, I always say do some internal work with
Yes.
I
Yes.
I saw a post by a young lady that she said she was having with her therapist, and she says, "Am I a failure?" She says, "I don't have a lot of friends." And the therapist says, "You don't need to have a lot of friends. You just need to
Hmm.
have good friends."
That's
It's
right.
like you
Right.
can have a lot of bad friends, right? A lot
Right.
of people, and so people are looking for these connections, but it really starts with just taking a look at yourself first. What can you offer? What value? And really knowing your purpose and what you're here for. Like you said,
That's
you're a
right.
connector. So
Right.
you're a connector. The first couple of times that we talk, we connect. And it's like, okay, you need to know this or the
Yep.
certain things. Even if you just recommend someone a book to read, I
Yes.
always take that into consideration. That's why I do Pam Perry's picks because
Yes.
you can't know all the books in the world.
Nope.
So I usually say this is a book that you do need to read. It's something that will just kind of set your mind a different way to know,
Yeah.
even if it's just learn from your story
That's right.
to ask.
Yeah.
And then wonderful things happen from that. So that's one of the main things. So what any parting words before we kind of wrap up here?
Yeah. I just want to encourage everybody, like you said, I love what you just said. Work on yourself. And as you work on yourself, you will become a magnet to attract the opportunities. You see, you attract who you are, not what you want. So focus
Mhm.
on developing yourself. Find you a mentor or coach if you have some gaps, and just go out and execute. And don't be afraid to get a no. A no today is a yes tomorrow. But if you're still in the game, but if you're not in the game, the person might be ready to come back and collaborate, and you know where to be found. So be encouraged, be blessed, keep the faith, and just remember to bet on yourself. And remember that collaboration does indeed create currency.
Thank you for that. That is I guess you would say that's a Rhema word because I heard that earlier today. Dr. Avis Jones the Weaver, she was on Fox. good morning, good day, DC. And
Hmm.
the last thing she said was, "Bet on yourself."
Bet on yourself.
And that stuck in my brain, and then you just say it, like, 3 hours later, "Oh,
Hmm.
it's 3:30, it's 3:33." So, okay, so all these things going on. But thank you so much for joining
My
us today
pleasure.
on Pam Perry's Picks, Collaboration Creates Currency. It is a great book to get, but
Thank
more
you.
than that, connect with YB on LinkedIn, Rob YB. Alrighty, take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for joining us.
My
Alrighty, bye-bye.
pleasure. Blessings to you.
Bye. Bye. So that is good. I love YB. When I tell you he's the real deal, he's the real deal. So follow him, connect with him, like his posts. He puts out a lot of good information. He has a newsletter on LinkedIn as well. So make sure that you get that as well. And so also too, if you really want to be a part of our community where he is a part of, we're part of readysetgospeak.com. You could go there, be a part of our community and get connect and hang out with him there as well. We do a lot of things and we share and connect with each other as well. So with that, I just thank you all for joining us. Make sure you share, connect, you pull out thing nuggets from here and share with other people or share this video. So with that, I'm Pam Perry.